What's up, guys? So today we are working on a 2017 BMW 330i, and the problem that has presented itself is the brake wear sensor. At least the indicator saying the brake pads need replaced is on. So what you'll see when you go to turn the car on, you will see brake system, drive moderately, replace brake pads, consult service center. And then over here you'll see brake system, drive moderately, and it will also have the brake light on up there. And that brake light stays on the entire time you're driving, and it drives you nuts. Now, in my case, I know that my brake pads were changed last year, both front and back, so I know my pads are good. So I suspect it is just a sensor, or the sensor is broken. There's something going on with the sensor. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get over into your vehicle settings or vehicle info. And then you're going to want to go to vehicle status. And then you're going to want to go to service required. Now what that's going to tell you is which sensor is messed up. So right now there's one in the back and there's one in the front. So as you can see, engine oil's okay, brake fluid's okay, vehicle check is okay, everything is okay, rear pads are okay, but you can see up here the front pads are the problem. So that is what we're going to be taking a look at today, and I will show you what I find. And just for a reference, I already tried the holding this down and resetting the brake thing, and it said brake reset unsuccessful. So that was my first try, so I will show you how to do that after I figure out what the problem is. And so let's get started. Okay, so once you have the car jacked up and on jack stands, take a 17mm socket, an impact. If you don't have an impact, you could do this while the car is still on the ground, but the impact makes life easier. And you're going to remove the wheel. So, as you can see there, I don't know how well you can see that, but the brake pads are basically brand new. So actually, one interesting thing, you can clearly see that the sensor is not touching the rotor. You can clearly see the front of the sensor right there, so I don't know what is up with this, why it's doing that. Obviously, the place that changed my pads up front didn't change the sensor too, so I'm guessing that the sensor just went bad for whatever reason. So what I'm gonna do next is probably just going to pop this box apart right here, unclip it, unclip the sensor, and do a continuity check on the sensor itself. See if I believe it's supposed to have continuity while it's good, and the continuity breaks whenever it's bad. So I'm going to get to that point and check that out. So here's that box. It literally, let's see if I can get the camera in here. Just has a couple clips on there. You just pry it open. Now the brake wear sensor is the wire on the right. It literally just pops right out of here. Much easier when you're not trying to record it. It's got a few little spots that retain the wire, but there you go. So now there's just a little clip here, and I can honestly probably do this with one hand. Maybe not. It's got a clip here. Just pull that clip up and pull this thing out. Now we're going to check this. We're going to check these two pins in here for continuity and see what we have. Okay, so we've got a multimeter here. It doesn't really matter what kind you have. This is just a cheap Fluke. Fluke is the brand name, but like I said, it doesn't matter what kind you have. Most of them have, well, they all have an ohm reading right here, but some of them have this little beeper indicator, and you can just turn it to that mode. So what that is continuity check mode. So what that does is whenever you touch these together, it'll beep when there's continuity and it won't beep when there's not. So it just gives you a better indicator, especially if you're not familiar with what ohms are. It'll give you a better idea of what you got. Now this is going to be kind of challenging to get these probes down in here. You want to do it without bending the probes or bending the contacts that are in this connector. And I probably won't be able to really show you this on film, but I'm touching them both right now and there is no continuity, so that's the problem. Okay, so what I'm going to try to do here is I'm going to try to get the old sensor out. Basically, I'm just going to try to pry this thing out with some needle nose pliers very carefully. This is the old one, so it's not a huge deal if I break it. Okay, so I've got the wheel turned to the right. I'm going to try that again now that I've got a little bit more room to work. Thing's stuck in there pretty good. Just going to try to kind of wobble it out a little bit. Yeah, go figure that. The second I turn the camera off, I just grab a hold of this thing and pull it right out. I'm going to show you how I got a hold of it. This is literally how I grabbed it. And I just gave it a couple tugs in that direction. Now granted, I had kind of wiggled it a little bit before I did that, but it came right out when I did that. So I'm going to slide the new sensor in there and we'll go from there. So as you can see, here's the old sensor. Not worn at all. The little metal clip stuck in the brake pad when I pulled it out. But the sensor doesn't have any obvious defects with it. Now here is the new sensor, and oddly enough, I bought this sensor to replace the one on the back pads. I'm not really sure if it's the same part number or not, but I had it on hand, so, and it plugs in and it looks very similar. So I'm going to try to use it. In worst case scenario, if it doesn't work, then I will go buy the right sensor. So yeah, point is, this sensor over here does not look worn at all. So this thing appears to have gone bad just from being old and brittle, I guess. I mean, it's not that old. The car's a 2017 and it is 2021 right now. The car only has 39,000 miles on it, but hey, whatever. We're gonna get the new one put in and hopefully that fixes the problem. So the new one, this little nub right here points towards the rotor, and it literally just slides right inside of that slot in the brake pad. I actually sprayed this out with some brake cleaner to make sure I got some of the junk out of there. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but basically I'm just going to, I got it started in there. It's going to require some force to get it in there. Okay, so to get this thing in here, it was pretty firm. I pressed on it as hard as I could. The hammer was the last resort. What I did is I stuck this 7mm wrench kind of on the outside like that, and I just tapped it very lightly with a rubber mallet, and it went in pretty easily. So don't know if that's how you're supposed to do it, but that's how I did it. Okay, so now is the moment of truth here. We just buttoned everything up, got the wheel put back on and torqued, got the car lowered back down. Let's get in here. So I'm going to turn the ignition on. It's still going to throw the air because I haven't messed with it yet. So I'm going to press this once to get it off of that menu. Now I'm going to hold it for 10 seconds-ish. Now reset possible, I'm going to hold that for 10 seconds again. And now I'm going to hold that until it says resetting. Reset in progress. Reset successful. So changing the brake sensor fixed the problem. And I should say that when I was ohming out that original sensor, it was actually intermittently had continuity and intermittently didn't have continuity. Don't rely solely on the ohm check, because it did have continuity, and then I would twist the wire a little bit and I would put my probes on there again and it didn't. So yeah, the brake sensor did fix my issue. And if I come over here into vehicle info, kind of like we did to start, vehicle status, service required, you can see everything is good now. All right, well, that should be all I have for today. Thanks for watching.